in Philadelphia. That suspect is now in custody after hours-long ordeal that left 6 officers wounded. The suspect linked to Wednesday's hours-long standoff in Philadelphia has just surrendered to authorities just after midnight Thursday, exiting the residence with his hands in the air and with a police light shining on him, surrounded by a cloud of tear gas. The dramatic shootout in Philadelphia stretched on for hours. 6 officers were wounded. 2 officers and 3 hostages were later freed, apparently unhurt. The suspect has been identified as 36-year-old Maurice Hill of Philadelphia. Hill has a long record of gun-related convictions and of attempting to evade arrest. Ron Barber, who heads up Line of Duty, which is a police training company based out of St. Louis, Missouri, is our go-to guy for these police-related stories. Ron, what is this? I mean, just a couple days ago, a highway patrol officer in Los Angeles was shot. What's happening?
Well, George, to me, this is another example of 2 critical points. Number one, thank God for great cops who go into harm's way thousands of times a day to protect us. And number 2, George, our criminal justice system continues to be an abysmal failure when it comes to removing the worst scum from polite society. Now, number 1, my guess is most Americans never saw the video clip a few days after the horrors in El Paso and Dayton, in which literally thousands of average, ordinary folks panicked en masse, George, and ran in terror after they heard what seemed to be gunshots in Times Square in New York. Did you happen to see the clip?
Yep, I sure did.
Okay, well, the video showed mass panic, and what they were all doing, George, was running from the sounds of what they thought was gunfire. It turned out to be a backfiring motorcycle. Now, the point I make here is that absolutely our most common reaction in such scenarios, gunfire or anything resembling it, is to run in abject terror as fast and far away from the danger as we can. Can most of us even begin to imagine actually running towards the danger? Yet that's what cops do, George, thousands and thousands of times every day. Imagine a job where your very life can turn deadly in literally a count of 1,001 or 1,002. Now,
well, within 30 seconds, they took that kid in Dayton, Ohio, who killed 9, out of the picture. Within 30 seconds because of police.
But here, keep this in mind, too, that within 32 seconds, he had killed or wounded 26 people. No police force on the face of the earth, unless they'd been sitting in this guy's lap, could have stopped that. Now, number 2, I am parroting a statement I have made not once, but literally hundreds of times over the years when it comes to cop shooters, George. This subject, 36-year-old Maurice Hill, as you said, had a lengthy history of gun convictions and resisting attempts to bring him to justice. He'd been arrested a dozen times since turning 18, convicted 6 times on charges that involved illegal possession of guns, drug dealing, and aggravated assault. He spent time in federal prison. In 2008, he pleaded guilty to federal firearms violations after he was caught, George, with a Smith & Wesson .357 and later a Taurus PT .45 semi-automatic. Now, the murderer of the young CHP officer earlier this week was again committed by another convicted felon who by law was not supposed to have any weaponry. Now, does anyone in his or her right mind think a career lowlife would abide by any gun law ever written or any new gun law being proposed? There's no way. The only way to stop gun crimes like this, George, are to remove the career criminals from the street permanently and to jack up the dealers in stolen guns who are the pipelines. Get them off the streets permanently, too.
Well said. Ron Barber. His website, lineofduty.com. He trains police officers all around the planet on situations like we had in Philadelphia tonight. Thanks, Ron.